psychiatrist sitting across from me offered me a gleaming smile and said, "I wish I could show you photos of all of the beautiful zoloft babies I've seen born over the years. And all of the beautiful Paxil babies." I wanted to throw up all over her manolo blahniks. It wasn't morning sickness, it was pure terror. After 4 months of barely surviving the hell of tapering off antidepressants before trying to conceive, the last thing I expected to hear from a doctor 10 weeks into my pregnancy was that I should go right back on them. I'd done more than my share of reading about the possible effects of SSRIs on my unborn baby. The risks were small, but included holes in hearts, abdominal organs forming outside of the body, breathing problems, autism, behavioral problems, low IQ, and a sincere love of smooth jazz and Paul Blart Mall Cop movies. Okay, that last one was not true. But suffice it to say, I was terrified about what could happen to my burgeoning bundle of joy. I didn't want a beautiful Zoloft baby, or a beautiful Paxil baby, or a beautiful baby carrying pharmaceutical branding of any kind. What I wanted was for someone to tell me that I had other options. I'd raced through LA rush hour traffic that morning when I'd heard there was a last-minute cancellation at this clinic specializing in depression and anxiety during pregnancy. I had visions of a coven of ladies wrapping me in a patchwork blanket quilt of tales from pregnant women who'd come before me. They wore flowing dresses, and they had all conquered their own mental health nightmares successfully and without medication. We would dance around a drum in the moonlight and float through 40 weeks of pregnancy on a cloud of our own mutually supportive feminine essence. But there were no flowing dresses or quilts or clouds or essences, just drugs. "Isn't there some sort of support group I could go to instead of the meds?" I asked the doctor. "Just for postpartum," she told me, "nothing for prenatal. But you're at high risk for postpartum depression, so you can come to that group after you have the baby." She sounded like cheerful about it, like she was giving me something to look forward to. She also mentioned that if I didn't want to take the meds, I'd have to seek help somewhere else. The clinic didn't accept patients who refused medication. I thanked her for her time, crumpled up the prescription, shoved it in my purse, and stormed out of the clinic in a rage. I would find my own way. I'd been on some form of antidepressant for 17 years, and for 15 of them, I felt pretty fucking good. Then I crashed and burned after making the hideous mistake of pursuing a Hollywood acting and writing career, a one-way ticket to mental hell. Sometimes pursuing your dreams is a really bad idea. I'd spent the 4 months before I got pregnant tapering off 4 different drugs, none of which had done anything to help me cope with the fact that I couldn't book the role as the unathletic woman in the background of a lunch meat commercial, let alone get a literary agent to read my scripts or novels or brilliant essays about how much I hate it when people talk to me. I lived in a city of 18.5 million people. LA is literally ground zero for support groups. Literally 100% of this audience is in one. I figured there had to be one for pregnant women with depression. There were support groups for video game addiction, children of narcissistic mothers, men with small penises, failed commercial actors with triskaidekaphobia, cat allergies. But prenatal depression? Nope. Zero support groups in LA. Postpartum depression, prenatal depression, there were 0 support groups. Postpartum depression groups were all over the place. There were Facebook groups, inspirational YouTube videos, and a litany of memoirs about it on Amazon. Working moms had it, stay-at-home moms had it, celebrities had it. "You're not alone," they all announced with triumph. Postpartum depression was in. I found myself envying the PPD girls. At least they were popular. They were at the cool lunch table at Depression High. And I was sitting all by myself in the cafeteria at the prenatal depression reject table. But why? I started researching and found estimates that at least 13% of pregnant women suffered from prenatal depression. Where was everybody? Where were our Facebook groups, Dr. Phil episodes, awareness walks, solidarity t-shirts, and wristbands? Nowhere. Fuck them all, I thought. I'd be my own support group of one. I was determined to stick out my 40 weeks of pregnancy medication-free. In addition to the possible long-term risks antidepressants could pose to my baby, I'd read that newborns with mothers on antidepressants could experience withdrawal symptoms after birth. Getting off antidepressants myself was one of the most horrible experiences of my life. Months of dizziness, nausea, suicidal thoughts, hours of crying, Terrifying nightmares in which Christopher Walken chased me through an old west town driving a truck full of screaming cattle, and then the brain zaps. Those are little electrical shock sensations that you get at the base of your skull when you're tapering off of an antidepressant. However beautiful these Zoloft babies looked on the outside, I knew there wasn't a doctor in the world who had any idea what was going on inside their heads. Brain zaps don't show up on medical tests. Nightmares about Christopher Walken don't either. And I'd rather my baby's first nightmares be about something slightly less terrifying, like maybe a dream about being chased by Steve Buscemi riding a Thomas the Train engine, or something to ease him into it a little bit. So I spent my first trimester enduring daily panic attacks and sobbing fits. I tried psychotherapy, meditation, yoga, cognitive behavioral therapy workbooks, including one called 10 Days to Self-Esteem. Stacks of reading on neuroplasticity and mindfulness, lightbox therapy, acupuncture, 3-mile-a-day walks, neurofeedback, hypnosis, journal writing, snorting aromatherapy oils, and in my most desperate moments, prayer. Eat more cashews, said a friend of mine. They have natural calming effects. I ate more cashews. I still wanted to hang myself in my closet. Make a gratitude list, said another. I made a gratitude list. All it did was show me how twisted my mind had truly become. I had so much to be grateful for: an amazing husband, the baby I'd wanted so badly, a decent job, but the voice in my head still just kept telling me I was better off dead. Sometimes the weight of the panic and depression were so heavy I just curled up on the floor and whimpered like a torture victim in a prison cell. I woke up every morning with a crushing pain in my chest, my heart pounding like I'd just run a marathon. My OBGYN said my constant stress was exposing my fetus to unhealthy levels of cortisol, and that I was better off taking my chances with the medication than white-knuckling it through the rest of my pregnancy drug-free. But I told her that the pills were 100% out of the question for me, until they weren't. After 21 weeks of straight misery, I fished the crumpled Zoloft prescription out of the bottom of my purse, and I filled it. I swallowed my first pill, feeling defeated, weak, and totally ashamed, and so angry. I was too ashamed to tell anyone about my decision except for my husband and my psychotherapist. I'd been preaching for months that this was one decision I would never cave on. I felt like a drug addict who'd fallen off the wagon. My sense of isolation grew deeper. The meds did help, though, almost immediately. I stopped curling up on the floor, stopped whimpering. And I was torn between being grateful for the relief and furious that the meds were the only thing that had actually worked. I kept praying. For a long time, I prayed that I'd get through the pregnancy without drugs. Then I prayed that the drugs would work. Now I just prayed that I'd have that beautiful Zoloft baby, just like the psychiatrist I'd had so much contempt for had promised. The day I gave birth, I told every doctor, midwife, orderly, and cleaning lady who entered the room to be on the lookout for any possible problems. I'm on Zoloft, I said. I've been taking Zoloft. Are they going to take him away right away, or am I going to get to hold him? I want to hold him right away, but I mean, do whatever's best for him. Just do it. I'm on Zoloft. In the midst of the triumphant moment when I finally pushed my baby out after 15 hours of labor, I thought of the meds immediately. My son had already received a perfect bill of health at his 5-month ultrasound, but as I held his slippery little body, I realized I was frantically counting his fingers and toes, as if my decision to take Zoloft at 21 weeks had risked causing parts of him to fall off in utero. It hadn't. Everything was there, and he was definitely beautiful. I'll never really know if I did the right thing. I'll never know if he would have been healthier and happier if I'd stayed off the meds, trading my own suffering for him. If he does show signs of autism someday, I'll never know if it was from the antidepressants or genetics or stress that festered inside me while I was drug-free but miserable. But I do know that if the laws of symbiosis apply, then I did what I had to do to get us both through those 10 months in one piece. And I realized something else too. Pregnancy is just 40 straight weeks of people telling you what not to do because it could injure or kill your baby. Diet soda kills your baby. Hibiscus tea kills your baby. Swordfish kills your baby. Microwave popcorn kills your baby. Scooping cat litter kills your baby. Unfiltered tap water kills your baby. Yeah, that's right. I'm not making this shit up. Drinking water can kill your baby. Lunch meat kills your baby. Tight pants, soft cheeses, paint fumes, flying on an airplane, working with pottery, electric blankets, household cleaners, can't have them, can't use them, they kill your baby. Get this one. Laying down on your back for too long can kill your baby. I could literally have taken a human life by lying down. How the fuck did I keep this thing alive, period? I literally can't make toast. I was allowed to have 1 cup of coffee a day because I couldn't have 2 cups of coffee a day, because you know what 2 cups of coffee a day would have done? They would have killed my baby. Exercising too hard can kill your baby because your body temperature gets too high. So if you want to exercise when you're pregnant, doctors recommend that you check your own temperature every 20 minutes with a rectal thermometer. My pregnancy exercise of choice was walking around the Silver Lake Reservoir, so I guess I was just supposed to stop every 20 minutes, drop trow, and stick a thermometer up my ass. And if anyone looked at me weird, just say, it's okay. I'm just being a good mom. Just trying not to kill my baby. I'm supposed to do this. It's recommended. Just looking out for my baby. On a positive note, there is now one Facebook group available for women suffering from prenatal depression. I started it. There's 76 of us, at least until Trump shuts it down because he feels it's too closely correlated to Muslim Mexicans who believe in climate change. My baby turns 1 next week. People frequently tell me that he's one of the happiest babies they've ever seen. So far, so good.